This is Eastmans Elevated podcast. I have on great guests that are really knowledgeable, consistently successful. We're able to dive deep down the rabbit holes of these different subject matters of shooting, of physical fitness, of mental toughness and drive. All the different skills that make up a complete hunter that you can become.
Here's your host, Brian Barney.
What's happening, guys? I got a brand new podcast for you. So this week we have on the guys from Weatherby. We're lucky enough to get on Adam Weatherby and then Kevin Wilkerson. I met Kevin at a dinner at the Western Hunting Expo. I sat next to him, and we had an interesting conversation, and I just wanted to get him on the podcast. Weatherby's got such a rich history of building the highest quality rifles, and I wanted to get him on and talk some of the calibers and what's the best Western hunting caliber for mule deer or for elk. And so, we talk about that. We also... Weatherby just moved their whole facility from California to Wyoming. We talk over that. And just an interesting conversation that I enjoyed and that I think you guys will too. Sponsor for today's show is Swagger Bipods. Swagger Bipods makes a lightweight bipod that'll mount to your rifle. Now they also have shooting sticks as well. But everything's just been well thought out. It's easily adjustable as far as height. The arms on it are spring loaded, so you can really get tension back into your shoulder, tension into your shooting positions, and really your rest has everything to do with being a top shot. To make those difficult shots, you have to have a good rest, and Swagger just does that. You can acquire your target quickly. You can move and adjust on a moving target. I mean, it's great for all shooters. It's great for my kids. I can set them up with that Swagger bipod, and I watched my youngest daughter make an incredible shot this year, where the deer, just stopped and gave her the opportunity, and she was steady and just made a dynamite shot. I thought the deer was going to be closer to 100 yards. It was actually closer to 200. I am horrible at judging rifle distance, or bow distance for that matter. If I don't have the right range, I don't hit them. But she made a heck of a shot. But they just make a great product. Make sure to check them out. And thanks to those guys for their support, Swagger Bipods. And over there at Eastman's, we've got those 3 beyond the grid that are now all dropped that you can see. So the first one's Dan Picard hunting an early season Oregon elk hunt. And he helicopters in. It's super interesting. It's well put together. Great videography. You guys will enjoy it. The next one is Scott Reeker's hunt. He talked about it on the podcast, but his hunt after a Wyoming giant in the backcountry where they use llamas, and he breaks down the entire hunt. Great videography. I think Ike filmed it for him. But it's a great episode. And then Dan Picard has one with his dad. He talked about that on the podcast as well. But he had that elk hunt with his dad, and his dad shoots his first ever elk. And it happens to be a monster. He killed a monster breaks bolt. But a spoiler alert for the episode. But it's a great episode. Make sure to check it out. And with that, if you don't have a subscription to Eastman's, we have an offer right now through the podcast. Text Elevated 319 to 22828. Again, text Elevated 319 to 22828. It'll get you a subscription to both magazines, $29.99, and then get you the coffee table book with the MRS, all the 2018 MRS section information available there. It's a great value to Western hunters. The MRS, subscriber stories, and then the pro staff articles. We all pour our heart and soul into the magazine. It's the lifeblood there at Eastman's, and we're really proud of what we put out there. I've got a great article coming up in the Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal here that I'm really proud about, talking about some of the intangibles about being successful. Through this podcast, I get to sit down and have these long-form conversations with all these successful Western hunters and Western public land hunters, and to be able to compare notes, you kind of find some similarities between guys and attributes they have. And so it was a fun one to sit down and write. I really like that format of writing where you can really think and structure your words and and the paragraphs and the whole article to really say exactly what you want it to say. And it just got some next level pictures I put in. So I'm really proud of the article, but make sure to check out our subscription if you don't already have one. And with that, when this comes out, I'll be in New Zealand hunting the high country. So pumped to get out of here and go experience that. I'm really looking forward to it. Bow's dialed, gears packed. Only thing I got to do is show up on time and catch my planes and lose a day in the air. But boy, is it going to be fun. So we got some good podcasts coming up for you guys. Some good ones scheduled. I'm going to record another one tonight. I got a good guest on tonight that I'm real excited about, and so we'll get that one recorded and just keep releasing this next level content to you guys. So really appreciate all the support. Let's get this thing rolling. So again, Adam Weatherby, Kevin Wilkerson, the guys at Weatherby, me, your host, Brian Barney, Eastmans Elevated. Here we go. All right, I'm live here. I've got the Weatherby guys on here. I've got Adam and Kevin. Kevin, which I met at a dinner at the Western Expo when we got visiting about podcasts, and now here we are, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So you guys are in the middle of a giant move right now. I think that's what dominated the conversation. So you guys are moving your factory from California to Wyoming. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, this is Adam talking here. We're right in the middle of the move right now. We announced it at SHOT Show at 2018, and so it's been a little over a year since we made the announcement. And so we are up and going here with our office staff, and actually here within a matter of days, our manufacturing space will be open here in our brand new facility in Sheridan, Wyoming.
That's amazing. That's a quick turnaround. You guys had a good contractor.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's been a long year, but it's good to finally be on this side of it.
Yeah, I bet. So now you guys got all your office staff there in Wyoming, and you guys moved your entire facility and built an entire building from scratch there. Isn't that right?
Correct. Yeah, we're just completing a 75,000 square foot facility on the northern part of Sheridan here, which will house all of our operations from the offices all the way through the manufacturing distribution center. Everything will be in one building here in Sheridan, Wyoming. We're in multiple buildings right now here in Sheridan, and like I said, as we speak, there's stuff being trucked from California to Wyoming, and we'll be setting it up here, and this spring we'll have things up and running.
Gosh, what a major move. Yeah, I bet there's so many details into trying to move a whole facility like that and then build one from scratch. What a great deal that you guys are starting to get on the other side of now. Moving staff over, you guys have a lot of staff that transferred from California?
You know, we had, when all's said and done, we'll have about 80% of our workforce will be new in the last year. You know, a lot of folks wanted to move, but, you know, we're in California since my grandpa started the company in 1945, so 74 years. And so we had a lot of great folks, a lot of longevity, and a lot of employees, you know, and team members. But it's a big move from California to Wyoming, and especially if you got family and, you know, maybe a spouse and kids and other jobs within the family, and things get complicated real quick. So like a lot of guys would want to come, and then their wives would check the Wyoming weather, and then, you know, they got to know. But there were tons of reasons, obviously, you know, that folks didn't get out here. But those that did are just absolutely thrilled to be here. And then those that we have hired new here this past year are just a really, really great addition. And I think we got a new facility. We got a largely new team in a new state with limited regulations and limited taxing and all the things that we're experiencing in California, but the opposite of it. And so things are looking good for Weatherby in the future.
Oh, I bet. It's got to be really fun, too, to be able to design a 75,000 square foot building from scratch. You know, usually, you know, companies are in their startup or in their growth period, but you guys have established your name and your company, and then to be able to take that and design a building from scratch from the bottom up, that's got to be a cool process.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been cool. It's been a lot of work. We worked with a great team here, our local architects and even just contractors. We were set a year ago to move in, and we're moving in perfectly on time. So it totally held to it. But yeah, it is neat to be able to we'd have some facilities that we kind of just pieced together throughout the years. And then this is, it's custom designed for us and our operations. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, construction's never on time. You guys did good. Moving in right on your timeline. Yeah, that's amazing. Kept a good schedule there in Wyoming. You guys are moving right in the middle of this. You guys are probably getting all this wintertime weather that I'm getting too, huh?
Oh, yeah, I think it's 1 degree today. So a little warmer than you.
And we already had some of the trucks, like Interstate 80 in the southern part of the state was closed. So, like, we have this Friday, 3 trucks are supposed to arrive, and then 2 more on Saturday, but it's all weather dependent.
Oh, man.
In California, we didn't deal with that.
Oh, I'm glad I don't have to drive those trucks. It'd be so nerve-wracking right now. And you can time it right in the wintertime, but then sometimes you just get on those icy roads where it's more of like a bobsled run than it is a highway, No thanks on that on the driving over. But, yeah, you guys are making it through anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been a real winter here in February. I'm just in Montana, so I'm just over the border from you guys. But I heard something like the 4th coldest winter or the 4th coldest February on record here for Montana. And I haven't had a morning above 0 degrees for about the last 20 days, so it's been cold.
Yeah, it's been pretty cold here too. February's been pretty cold for me. I'm actually moved here from Arkansas, so it's a bit of a difference for me as well. But it's kind of funny. Show season ran, we went to so many shows that my wife was actually the one that was fairly having to deal with the cold, and I wasn't. So I wasn't too jealous of that in the moment. But
well, yeah, it caught up with you in the end because now you got a cold February to deal with.
Yep. Yeah. People ask us what we miss about California, and some days I miss the weather, and a lot of days we miss a lot of good people, a lot of good family and friends. But outside of that, those are the things. So in the first part of the winter, I'm like, this is easy. Then all of a sudden you're like, just in February, it's like, okay, it's pretty cold now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I am too. I think winter's not that bad, and I'm still getting outside and doing things. And then you get a month like February where you're kind of ready for the warmth. But it's just part of it in the winter here. You're gonna get some cold snaps, and it's gonna get cold for a couple weeks, and you're gonna have to get your inside work done, and it'll warm up again. It always does. And we're getting good moisture, so both Wyoming's and Montana rivers will be running. So it's a good thing, and you can't really change it. You just got to kind of buckle down and deal with it, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Good.
No, we're excited. We're like Adam said. I mean, we're right on the brink of moving into the new building, and it's an exciting time to be here in Sheridan, and also at the company Weatherby. It's exciting times, and we look forward to the future here, no doubt.
Yeah, well, you guys just make some great hunting calibers too. Gosh, and I'd like to get into it a little bit since I've got the rifle guys on the call. So what do you guys like for a deer round?
Oh man, it depends. You talking mule deer or are we talking whitetail?
Yeah, I would say mule deer. Most of our listeners are Western hunters.
Yeah. I mean, our kind of number one Weatherby caliber that a lot of folks use for deer is the 257 Weatherby. It really punches out there real far, and it's real flat shooting. So I shot a lot of deer with the 257. We have a 240 Weatherby that's in a smaller action that's really, really kind of a fun little caliber as well. Pushes a 243 bullet, a heck of a lot faster than a 243 Win, and so that one actually is pretty nice too. 257's been our most popular kind of smaller bullet, large cartridge that we've had for a long time. It was my grandpa's favorite cartridge, and it's been historically for the past several decades been our number 2 selling cartridge in the Weatherby lineup, anyways.
Oh, I can see why. Yeah, it's such a great caliber for deer. I like those little bit lighter rounds like that, but real quick and flat. It seems like those just make good shooters for open country, for antelope, be good for whitetail as well, or for mule deer. Yeah, what a great caliber.
Yeah, we saw a lot of antelope harvested this year with the 257 for sure. I actually shot a pretty big mule deer this year with the 6.5 300, and it performed fantastic, which our 6.5 300 is really in a class of its own when it comes to that specific caliber bullet. But I shot a big mule deer about 340 yards away with a 127 grain bullet, and it really wrecked shop. So I was super happy with that round this year too.
Boy, I'd say so. That's a 6.5 300, you say, and a 125 grain bullet.
It's actually a Barnes 127 is what I used on that deer.
And it's going like 34 plus, 100 feet per second.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that thing's smoking out of there.
Yeah, the velocity and the energy downrange is pretty substantial with a 6.5 300.
Yeah, I've taken most North American big game with it.
And caribou.
Quite a bit. Yeah, caribou, sheep since we came out with it a few years ago. I've shot some elk with it. So larger animals, but I've shot antelope with it. So it's done a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a great caliber. It sounds like a good one, like a light load for elk too.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear a lot of people. Actually, at show season this year, there was a lot of response of people saying they were shooting elk with a 6.5 300, which was really great. You tend to see a lot of people nowadays, which you see a lot of people shooting elk with a 6.5 Creedmoor, and a 6.5 300 is quite better than a 6.5 Creedmoor we had.
Elk hunting, it just translates to more energy out further, and so a lot of times when you're hunting elk, it's tough to get it in close.
Yeah.
With great shot placement up to a certain range, a Creedmoor certainly will do the job, and it's done the job many times.
Sure.
With the 6.5 300, number one, there's a little margin for error on the shot placement, a little bit more, but more importantly, just pushing energy out further.
And just accurate too.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, huh. And then, so what would be the perfect caliber for elk then? You can use that for elk, but what do you guys like for an elk caliber?
Honestly, for elk, it's tough for me to beat a 300 Weatherby. It's just a great cartridge. We have a following of people that really like our 3378, which is the fastest production 30 cal there is out there. And that's fun, especially if you need to really shoot far and get, that energy pumping out there long range. So there's a following of people that, man, once you shoot that 3378, especially longer range on, hunts that you might need to push out a little bit further, that's a fun one right there.
Mm-hmm.
I bet.
I've been getting a lot of feedback just in general of people shooting elk with a 3378, like Adam was saying. It seems like just in the past season, more people started shooting that and picking that gun up. And it's just a preferred long range round. If you talk to some long range specialists, they really love that round. So that's a great round. But like Adam said, the 300 Weatherby is hard to beat in most categories, truthfully. If you're talking about anything bigger than a mule deer and you want enough, or maybe a little bit more than enough, a 300 Weatherby is the way to go.
Well, those elk they're just so tough, that you have to hit them right. But those bigger calibers just give you a little bit more room for error. And yeah, you want to hit those things hard and keep shooting until they're down. Those elk are just tough. So yeah, I like a little bit more caliber. I like a 30 caliber for elk.
Yeah, sure. One of the things too, and one of the benefits that we see to getting bullets moving faster as well is even you still have to calculate wind and density, altitude, and those different things, but it is different if you are moving things faster. The bullet is in the air for a less period of time, and before it comes into contact with the target or the game, and so it also it helps with that as well. That just wind is such a tough variable sometimes, especially if you're shooting cross canyon stuff like that. So the faster the bullet is moving, the less room for error on wind calculations.
Oh man, I never thought about it that way. Because I always think like a heavier bullet will resist the wind more, like a heavier arrow for wind drift, So I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right. I guess it's less time in the air. It's less time that wind
right.
can drift that
and
bullet.
Weight certainly is a factor as well, but I'm saying let's say you take let's say you take the same grain of bullet, the faster it's moving, it's going to cut through when you, I don't know, even if you just throw a light ball up in the air, you throw it real fast, it gets less drift, and you throw it kind of high and lob it, and there's wind, it's gonna get more drift to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I just never had thought about it until you just mentioned it. But yeah, a quicker bullet is going to receive less wind drift, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were actually I was at a range event last summer, and it was really interesting to be hands-on in that type of description. But we were shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor right next to a 6.5 300 at 500 yards on a plate, on a steel plate, and the timing between the two. So when you shot a 6.5 Creedmoor at 500 yards and it hit the plate, and then you shot a 6.5 300, it was moving so much faster and got there so much quicker that it was like very noticeable how quicker that bullet got to the plate at 500 yards. And it was something that I can describe to people, but until you actually shoot those two side by side and you realize how faster that bullet is, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's got to be moving way faster to have it to be audibly, to be able to hear it, as a different hit on that target. Yeah, that thing's got to be moving. And two, you could probably sit side by side and notice the wind drift, like you're talking about, how it would get less wind drift getting to that target quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, and there's all kinds of variables when it comes to wind drift. So changes every second, right? So,
doesn't it?
What it would actually be. But yeah, that's a very interesting thought.
Huh.
Even the altitude too, when you factor that, much like wind, slower bullets moving, the more that's, going to take it into effect as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess, when I really ponder it. I was just talking to Brian Martin of Asian Mountain Outfitters. We had him on the podcast and talking about hunting Tajikistan, and Guy Eastman had went over there and hunted Tajikistan. But talks about, even though they build their turrets for the elevation, it just seems like they get there and those rifles are off, and the up at that elevation, it's just hard to replicate when you're trying to practice up at 14 to 16,000 feet in elevation.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be factored.
Yeah,
That's a lot of elevation.
Yeah, that would be quite the difference.
Yes.
Oh, crazy. That elevation, well, it not only affects your bullets, but God, just the human body too, the stress and strain it puts on you. When you're, like, I even know Colorado at above 13,000, like, that's way different than 11,000. So I can't imagine hunting at 14 to 16,000 feet. And actually the cameraman on the trip, Dan Picard, who was, he's a really in shape, fit guy, but he got altitude sickness, got pulmonary edema up there, and was in really tough shape. And he was in probably the best shape of anybody else up there, but they actually say that it can affect those guys more. It makes a more of a difference. So there were some older guys in camp that did fine with the elevation, but yeah, I mean, it definitely makes shooting tougher, and just a physical exertion. That elevation sure puts it on you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always found it interesting. Just altitude sickness in general seems to affect just different people.
It totally does.
It really doesn't matter who you are. Yeah. That in and of itself, it doesn't matter if you're the most in shape, or, I mean, generally, obviously, if you're the most out shape, it might not help the most. But it's interesting how it does affect different people individually. Yeah,
that's what surprised me so much too, is that how it is so individual to how it affects you or who it affects. And that you could train so hard for one of those sheep hunts and then show up and be so sick, is just wild to me. Yeah, they explained it to me, but it's been a couple years since I've had it explained to me why it affects the younger crowd or the in shape crowd more. Gosh, I'd just be making it up if I was trying to remember now. But something with the blood or the thinner blood or something of that nature, how it can affect younger guys more. Or it seems to affect younger guys more. That's what Brian Martin was telling us.
Yeah, it's funny. You just be with people and it's different. I fly in private aviation. I don't have pressurized in my plane, so sometimes I'll be up there in the teens, and even if I'm wearing oxygen, I'll wear a mask as a pilot. And some of my passengers really want it, and some don't really care. And it just totally depends on the person. Some will get a headache, some will start to get lightheaded. My wife just usually falls asleep, so there's different ways that it kind of affects everybody a little bit, and it's also knowing and understanding, they got little, meters that you can, kind of gauge, how much oxygen is in your system and in your blood. But it's good especially if you're in the backcountry or those sorts of things, especially if you're over in Tajikistan or somewhere like that, to be able to know, where it's at and to know your body and to know when your body's yelling at you that you got to get back down and, that you got to get help.
Yeah, you're so right, Adam. It is about reading your body because there are going to be some changes up there, that you almost have to get used to. Like I know, on the high altitude hunts, like I don't sleep right for the first couple nights. So, all of a sudden you're sleep deprived, and yeah, I notice I'll even wake up in the morning after laying there and I'm kind of almost a little bit dizzy. It takes me a little bit to settle in, and then just acclimating to it. It just seems like it puts such an exertion on your legs and on your lungs. You're just not getting the blood flow to your muscles, and so each step seems like it's tougher. Around where I'm acclimated at around 6,000 or 7,000 feet, I can do 1,000 feet of elevation pretty easy. But then when I'm at 13,000 and I've got to climb 1,000. Boy, it just seems like it's everything I can do to get to that top of that mountain. But you seem to feel better and better by the day. But I think what you're saying is important, Adam, to really know your body and to listen to it, not to push too hard, make sure you're getting in enough water, even dropping down to lower elevations. And then I always like to acclimate too. Like the night before I go in, I'll try to stop and sleep on a saddle at 10 or 12,000 feet just to start to get my body used to it. But yeah, it's a key element on a lot of these Western hunts.
Yeah. It's funny here in Wyoming, just with high school athletics, because it's such a high altitude state. So we're here in Sheridan at about 3,700, which is very low for the state of Wyoming, one of the lowest places. You go down to the southern part of the state, it's 7,200 in Laramie. It's like my daughter swims in high school, and like they had the state finals down in Laramie. And their times are all worse in Laramie than they are here, because every time they're swimming a lap and, especially in the distance stuff and in cross country and those sorts of things. But even basketball, all the athletes here will do that. Like I know at University of Wyoming, when you're coming out of the visitors locker room as a football player, it says, "Welcome to 7,200 feet," because they're used to training there and stuff. So it's crazy how much it affects you.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, that's wild in sporting events. Yeah, they talk about some benefits too of training at lower elevations, just that you can get more work in. But yeah, definitely when you go to those higher elevations, it's just tough to have that same output, or at least it takes a while to acclimate your body and get it ready again to where you can do the same times or do the same climbs or whatever it is. But yeah, it's wild how much it affects bullets too. You really got to set up your rifle to that elevation you're hunting.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll make you miss. That's for sure. A lot of people don't understand the real changes that take place with elevation and ballistics.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
Yeah. No, and truthfully, in my personal experience, even when you do understand it, there's still times in which it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's so many variables, and the devil's in the details in your shooting and precision and in your accuracy. And even under the best circumstances, or even when you're as prepared as you can be, a miss can hit anybody for sure. It can get anybody. Buck fever's real out there, and you get excited, and boy, it's tough to settle in those crosshairs and squeeze on that trigger and execute like you're supposed to too. And then even when you execute right, like you say, there's so many variables. We talked about wind earlier. It's always changing, and so you got to be pretty dialed in and then confident in your shot. And I think the biggest key too is just spending time with your weapon, spending time with your rifle, and practicing in real life environments, not always shooting from a bench. I think shooting from a bench and getting your rifle doped and figuring out the load that it shoots is super important. But then I think it's important to practice those real life scenarios, that laying down and throwing over your pack, or that kneeling shot and getting your back arm braced, and it's so much easier said than done when you're in the field and in real time and trying to set up on a critter when your adrenaline's spiking and try to get settled into a good shooting position.
I think that's I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think one of the things when people are getting into hunting, maybe not too experienced with hunting with a rifle, that's one of the biggest, I think, mistakes that there is not practicing in hunting type scenarios. And so I think it's really important. I think it's like, when's the last time you took a bench in the field, and sandbags? And unless you're doing truck hunting or something like that, most of the time you don't have that. And I think people are like, yeah, man, I can shoot, inch groups all day at 100. I can do whatever, but I think it's really practicing that. I even have separate ranges that I'm comfortable in shooting an animal depending on what position I'm in. So I'm best at prone, then I'm best with shooting with sticks on my butt, and on up. And so it's really understanding what that is. If I can't go prone, and even like prone, if I have a front rest, either a bipod or a pack, I'm good, but I'm even better if I can like wad up a jacket or my bino pack under my buttstock on the back. I'm as comfortable or more comfortable than I am on a bench. And so my range will really depend on that. But, I've been in some, situations or hunting up in the northern country, and there's willows and there's different things, and you got to shoot over it. And it's like, man, if I'm on standing sticks or even sometimes real high sitting sticks and I don't have points of contact with my elbows, like my range goes down significantly on what I'm comfortable in shooting. And I think people don't understand that early on. And so they think, man, I was shooting a steel, at 500 yards. Well, yeah, off a bench, with sandbags when you had all the time on the world. And you throw in buck fever and you throw in maybe, hiking up a hill and lack of oxygen and all those different things and all the excitement. But mainly even that positional shooting, I think it's really important that hunters get out there and do the type of positional shooting that they're going to be doing in the field. And that gains your confidence, and then how far at those different things. So sometimes you may be stalking an animal, and you're like, if I can't go prone right now, that's too far for me to shoot. But if I can sit down with sticks, I can shoot out to X amount of yards. Okay, let's see if we can find a spot to do that at this range, or we got to get closer, or whatever it is. And I think that type of scenario just doesn't get played out in hunters' minds a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so spot on, Adam. Yeah, you're right. The different shooting positions have different limits, and I think it's important for us hunters to realize where our limits are and in each shooting position, and whatever you can shoot on a bench on steel plates in perfect conditions, you need to take at least 25% of that off, in a hunting situation at least, but just knowing your limitations, knowing your rifle, and then just the more rounds you shoot through it, just the more confidence you get. And I've got young hunters in my house, so I've got 2 daughters, 15 and 11, that are both hunters. And, getting them ready for rifle season, it helps me understand and it helps me get better as well, because I go through it with them, practicing all their shooting positions, and it comes so second nature to us guys that have been hunting so long, for acquiring our targets, getting into our shooting positions, finding the animal. But for kids, it's all so brand new for them, and so you have to walk them through that process. And also, I want them to be safe with their rifle and comfortable with their rifle and know it inside and out from their safeties. And so, that's what we do around the house. And we can't shoot every day. We make it down to the range, but every day I'll get them outside as we're leading up to season, and I say, okay, here's your pack, sitting position, acquire the target. And I've got a deer archery target out there, where then they've got to sit down and they've got to find the target, they've got to get steady, and then we'll do dry fire practice on it, where they squeeze the trigger. We go through all the safety protocol. Okay, safety off, safety back on, jack your shell in, jack another shell. Try to give them that experience with that rifle so they're comfortable with it, and they have had nothing but success, every single year. My oldest daughter, I haven't seen her miss yet. Every time she shoots that rifle, she makes sure, that she's steady enough and squeezes on it and makes a good shot. And I know any hunter that hasn't missed hasn't hunted long enough, and I'm sure hers is coming. But they just make great little shooters when you train them the right way and the right shooting positions and get them prepared for their encounters.
Yeah.
Yep. Even with that target acquisition, man, I've had new hunters out in the field, and you're like, yeah, well, there's a buck, and then they're looking through the gun, like, I can't find it. And, their, magnification is zoomed all the way in, and, their face is too close. And, there's just so many things that to a new hunter takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the rifles are built to do their job. They're built to be accurate, and when set up right, they're just so deadly. But us as hunters have to do our job too. It isn't just about sighting those things in, and then we're going to go on this dream hunt and kill these animals that we've been thinking about all year long. I just think it's a commitment to your rifle and a commitment to hunting, where you try to practice as much throughout the year as you can and practice your shooting positions. And it's success is when preparation meets opportunity, so.
Yeah,
that's a good saying.
Yeah, and this year, me and Adam, I got to accompany Adam and Brenda out in the Bighorns in our backyard here in Sheridan, and exactly what Adam's talking about is exactly what he did. We had an elk that we were pretty much stalking on, and Adam knew his effective distance is what he called it, and we just made sure we got within that space, and then, even though it might have cost us the animal walking away, Adam spent his time making sure he was comfortable and super solid before he decided to take a shot. We were moving packs around, moving jackets around, moving rocks around. Luckily, the elk didn't seem to mind because it was still a ways away, but he was definitely able to settle in that rock ledge there and make sure that the shot was right.
Oh, it shows so much maturity and experience and great show of ethics, to spend that time to get set up. And I do a lot of hunting with my dad with his rifle too. He killed a buck. He drew his Wyoming tag last year. I love that Wyoming buck hunting that you guys have down there. Just a great place. In fact, I think I'm due for a tag this year, so we'll see. But same thing with him. It's just getting him set up right and those, building those shooting positions, making sure he gets that back arm stable, prone if we can get it. But like you say, a lot of places with the grass or the way the terrain lays out, you can't. So then it's important, to get that rest up front and the back elbow set and get them tucked into that rifle and even have them dry fire a couple times, to really feel comfortable. But I really think that's the difference maker is knowing your rifle, spending the time with it, and then really spending the time to make sure you get steady on those animals, just like you did in the Bighorns. That had to be a fun hunt.
Yeah, it was cool because, it's right here in our backyard now. So to be able to go out there and do that was really special. Just because we're kind of located right at the feet of them. So it's cool to be able to just pop out in our backyard here, go hunting.
Yeah, and this year we're residents.
Oh, you guys made out good on that deal. Yeah, that Wyoming, gosh, you guys got some hunting there for elk, deer, antelope. Just what a great state for Western hunting opportunity.
Yep, we agree. True. Don't tell anybody else. It's great as non-residents too.
No, it's tough.
We're like the residents now, so nobody should move here. We're still moving here from California.
It's so cold here. Don't come. All the land's taken up. It's all private land.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're good land hunting here.
No, it's tough. I wish that's the one rule I wish they change is they don't let us non-residents in the wilderness over there unless we have a resident come with us. Well, there's a few things I'd change. I'd also make some more bow seasons down there and a couple things, but Wyoming has it great, and they've got great management. They're just on top of their game, and then they take great care of their residents, which rightfully so. Living in these western states like Montana or Wyoming, we take a hit on what we can make here. We don't make as much as in the big city, but it makes up for it with the tags that we're able to get and the opportunities and raising our kids in good communities, and it's just a great place to be in. We're so fortunate to be here, but I love how Wyoming takes care of their residents. I think that's really important.
Yeah, you just got to be here 12 months, man. They take it real serious because you're only 6 months, I think, up there in Montana.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they make you be all 12 in Wyoming, huh?
Yeah, all 12.
They want you to suffer to get that opportunity a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I feel like I've lived here enough now. And the other day I was looking at licenses and I was like, "Are you kidding?" I totally forgot that I'm still considered a non-resident.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I was kind of upset about it just the other day. I was like, "This is outrageous."
Yeah, they've got a residency here, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you guys are close. You'll have resident tags before you know. But yeah, what a great opportunity to have Weatherby and a great community of guys working there, and then to be able to take advantage of what's around you. Guys, just a beautiful state. I love hunting the high country deer there. I haven't gotten elk tag in Wyoming, but I'm due. And the pronghorn is just next level there. So yeah, you guys landed in a cool spot.
Yeah, my wife got a nice mule deer, high country mule deer this year. So, pretty nice buck.
Oh, right on. In Wyoming?
In Wyoming, yep. As non-residents, we just had some points, and see when you move in, you can't transfer your points because they're just a limited quota draw here as residents. So we got some deer and elk tags hunted as non-residents, even though we are good Wyoming tax-paying citizens. Well, kind of. What tax they have here, we pay.
It's way better, isn't it? It's actually feasible for a business to operate, I bet.
Yeah, it's actually like they want you here.
It's the same way here in Montana. Well, it scares the heck out of me. Like, I don't know how people make it in some of these places, not only with business taxes. I'm also a small business owner, but with property taxes and things, where in a lot of these locations, people get their houses paid off and then can't afford the taxes on the house that they own, and so Montana and Wyoming and some of these less populated areas are just way nicer on their taxes to us people.
They are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is nice. I don't mind paying my fair share, but it gets a little outrageous. Like that's kind of the way I think of California anyways. I come from Washington originally, is where I was born and raised, and they're pretty tax happy there too.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. No, well, that'll be good. Yeah, I bet you guys are excited to get that new facility up and running, and sounds like you've been able to fill most of the positions and things with really good people there, and Wyoming's just going to be a great place to run a business.
Yep. And after right about mid-June, we'll be opening a visitor center, and so folks are coming by. We're right off the interstate here in Sheridan, and you can kind of see our building right from the interstate, and folks can drop in. We'll have a showroom, little retail area, and just kind of see some historical stuff and things like that. So kind of this summer, if anybody's coming by, I'd love to see you.
Yeah, how cool. Well, there's so much history in the company of Weatherby. When did Weatherby start?
1945.
1945. And started, you'd mentioned your grandpa a couple times, Adam, that started it. Is that right?
Correct. Roy Weatherby, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, you guys have so much great history. Well, just so much great history of building great hunting rifles. It's I've heard of Weatherby since I was 13 years old, and we were getting rifles around deer camp. It's just amazing history and then an amazing reputation. You guys have always built top-notch rifles with top-notch performance. So yeah, it feels like you belong there in Wyoming. I think it's going to be a good home for you guys.
We do too. Absolutely. It already feels like home. Kevin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you guys got a lot of good things in the works too. Talking about putting together a podcast.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have a podcast out here in the next couple weeks, months, maybe. I would
how
say
long,
just.
Kevin?
I'd say maybe a month. We just got a lot of cool, like we're talking about here. We've just got a lot of really cool information about both our rifles, our shotguns, and our cartridges that we develop, along with our move, our new facility, the constant hunting trips that we're on, both as Adam and the Weatherby family, but even the people that are involved here in that lifestyle at the company. So we feel like it's about time for us to have a podcast to communicate to our fans and to people that are big believers in the Weatherby brand, that a direct line to listen to us talk, I guess.
Yeah. So, and sorry, Kevin, I don't mean to put you on the spot on the podcast. I just think it's such a great platform, and like you say, you guys are so rich in history and in hunting. Yeah, I just think it's such a great platform for you guys as well to share your story. So that's why I wanted to mention it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I really appreciate you giving us a shout out on it.
Yep, for sure. Well, where can guys find out about? They said they can stop by the storeroom. You guys have your website. Where's that at?
Yeah, check out weatherby.com. We're actually in the process of redoing our website, so we're pretty excited about that mid-year as well. But really, we're really active on social media. So our Instagram and our Facebook, we generally get our information out to that first off. So I'm sure everyone listening is on social media, so I would say just look us up. Weatherby Inc. is our handle on both Instagram and Facebook, so check us out there.
Yeah, you guys have a great social media. Yeah, your Instagram account is great. I've been following it now for a while. You guys do a good job of sharing different information about calibers, about rifles, and then also about hunts and different people inside the company of Weatherby, and then other people that are using your products. But yeah, it's a great social media site there.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, thanks a bunch, guys. I really appreciate it. It was really nice to meet you, Kevin, in person. And Adam, I'm sure we'll get to meet face to face. Congratulations on the move. And yeah, thanks for taking the time and being on. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye. See you, bye.
All right, guys. That's a wrap on that episode. Yeah, fun conversation with those guys. It's they sure know rifles inside and out, and just fun to pick their brain on different calibers and talk over their company. And I really enjoyed getting to meet Kevin and having conversations with him, and my interactions with Adam. He seems like a heck of a nice guy as well. His grandfather started Weatherby, which is just amazing. So thanks to those guys for taking the time. I sure appreciate it. Sponsor for today's show is Swagger Bipods, just making the best bipods out there. They're lightweight, mount to your rifle, they're spring-loaded, easily adjustable, easy to track your targets, easy to get tension against your shoulder, and being a good shot is all about the rest. And Swagger Bipod fits the bill from sitting to kneeling to prone. It just make a great product that'll make you a better shot. So if you're in the market for a bipod, make sure to check out Swagger. Excuse me. Yeah, and with that, let's see. We've got those 3 Beyond the Grids. Make sure to check those out. If you don't have a subscription to Eastmans, make sure to text that Elevated 319 to 22828. And yeah, with that, and off to the Southern Alps. I know it's all I can talk about. It's all I can think about right now. I am just so psyched to get down there. What a cool place with just giant mountains. And I've gone on a deep dive on YouTube watching tar hunts and red deer and fallow deer, chamois. What an awesome opportunity. And to be able to look at a new species, in a new habitat and chase it with my bow, I mean, that's what dreams are made of. It's crazy. Just an average guy like me gets to travel, all the way across the world and go bow hunt in New Zealand. This is just going to be incredible. I don't even need to harvest anything. Just want to take some really good pictures, have fun with friends, learn a lot about there, and immerse myself in that really cool place. I can't wait for the tar, like above tree line in that alpine environment. Just these big alpine basins and snow and steep and gnarly. The weather can come in, can blow 100 miles an hour there. I love that. It's going to be so much fun. So gear's all packed. Bow is absolutely dialed. I think I've got all the logistics worked out, got all my topo maps. I absolutely love Onyx on every hunt I go on, every hunt I do. And Onyx does have some satellite imagery, but they don't have the topography, and it just I don't think they're set up for New Zealand yet, but I'm sure it's coming. So I've had to go old school, like with ordering all the topo maps, and then get my compass and have to navigate old school. But what a giant place and giant mountains. I cannot wait. So I can't wait to share this hunt with you guys. I'm gonna do a bunch of recording while I'm down there when I get back, and just try to share my experiences. But God, it's fun when you find these blue collar adventures, and the flight isn't the cheapest down there, but pretty much after that there isn't much that I have to pay for. A little bit of food down there, and chip in for the rental rig, which isn't too much, but we're gonna be sitting good down here. It's gonna be so much fun. So all right, well, I can't wait. I gotta get these podcasts out to you guys, get my work done, and so I can get out of here and catch a plane. Thanks for all the support, you guys. The iTunes reviews, the support off the Instagram, Facebook, and listening to the podcast. I mean, that's everything for me. So yeah, I just I appreciate it so much, and it's part of the reason why I can go on an epic trip like this. So I don't take it lightly, and I want to continue to bring you guys the absolute best hunting content I can, the most pertinent information to public land hunting out west, and I just want to continue to live the lifestyle and share it with you guys, and get better and sharing everybody's success. So it's a fun community that we're building here. I just really appreciate it, guys. So that's a wrap. Thanks to Weatherby again. Thanks to our sponsor, Swagger. And I'll check in with you guys next week.